Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a pleasure having you all on this edition of the program You and Health, aired on Equinoxe Radio, a multimedia. For presentation, I am Esie Lucy Liengu. In Cameroon, the prevalence rate of sciatic nerve pain is notably affecting approximately 15 to 20% of the adult population, and this statistics reveals the urgency of addressing this health condition. Today, we'll be looking at the causes, the symptoms, and the preventive measures of sciatic nerve. Of course, we're looking at it with a medic. But before we introduce our medic for the day, my co-host, I won't be doing this alone. I'll be accompanied by Immaculate Fogbe. Good afternoon, Immaculate Fogbe.
Good afternoon to you, Lucy. Good afternoon to our listeners and, of course, to our televiewers of Equinoxe Radio and Television.
Of course, always a pleasure having you.
For sure.
And our special guest for today is no other person than Cynthia FINJAP. Hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. She is a kinesiotherapist. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you.
Always a pleasure having you on the program equally.
Thank you very much.
And straight away, we are starting with our first questions. We want to know, when we hear of sciatic nerves pain, many people are asking. We know normally we usually say nerves, but we don't know the other term, sciatic nerve pain. What is it all about?
Okay, sciatic nerve, it's the largest nerve in the body, which starts from the lower back right down to the butt, the thigh, the calf, and the sole of the foot, equally as a toe. Now, when we say we have a sciatic nerve, it's due to pressure on the nerves in this area, or pinching on the nerves, which could be caused by various factors. So sciatic nerve, in a nutshell, it's not a disease on its own. It's a symptom indicating there is something which is not right. And given that the nervous system lives in the spine, which does the communication between the brain, the body, and the spine. So it's telling the brain that there is a problem here, you need to fix it. And unless it's fixed, you would be in pain, which could aggravate over time.
Let's look at the different stages of this health condition.
Okay, it could be chronic, meaning it's been there for a while, and we would call it microtrauma. It's been piling up, it's been building up over time. Then we have the acute stage, which could be maybe from an injury, an accident, and there is pressure on this nerve, or this nerve is being pinched or irritated. Then you would have this pain. And when we talk about chronic, like I earlier said, it's been building up, it's been piling up for a while. You have a lot of things to look into consideration. The age, the weight of the patient, the lifestyle of the patient, for instance.
Now that there are different stages, we'd like to know, what are some of the factors that can trigger, say, sciatic nerves to be at the chronic stage?
Okay, some of the factors which could trigger sciatic nerves pain, we have a herniated disc. For instance, I would use this just to illustrate. Here, the yellow, we have the nervous system. And the red is the disc, which is the cushion or the shock absorber for the spine. Now, when you look, you see pressure. I'm trying to apply pressure here. You see the pressure. Here is the nerve, free and fine. Once there is pressure on this nerve, due to the pressure from the vertebral bone, then on the disc, you see how pinched the nerve is. It's not free, it's not fine, it would always trigger pain. It does communication to the brain that there is a problem here which needs to be fixed. If nothing is done over time, this pain will radiate to the butt, will radiate to the thigh, to the calf, and the sole of the foot.
What are some of the symptoms one should watch out for as far as sciatic nerve pain is concerned?
You have burning sensations. It could be a dull ache, it could be a stabbing pain. You could feel tingling, ants feeling, numbness, weakness, fatigue, heaviness, and of course, pain in the lower back.
For those who are just joining us, they know you're watching the program You're in Your Health. And for those on radio, you're listening to the program You're in Your Health. For those who like to participate in the program, here are the numbers: 656-622222. I repeat, 656-622222 or 670-5470-49. 670-5470-49. We know a lot of you are experiencing this symptoms which Cynthia just earlier mentioned. This is the time for you to call and ask your questions as far as sciatic nerve pain is concerned.
Exactly, Immaculate Fogwe. And back to you, Doctor. We want to understand, in Cameroon, what is the prevalence rate of this condition?
Okay, I wouldn't be very specific about the prevalent rate, but I would tell you the age range at risk for sciatic nerves. So from 20 to 50 and above are predisposed to sciatic nerve. This takes me back to the causes of sciatic nerves. I talked about age. I'm going to talk about lifestyle. For those who sit for very long hours, it causes pressure on the nerves. It causes pinching on the nerves. It leads to this pain. For those who are obese or overweight, due to the weight on the spine, there is sciatic nerves which could be triggered. You have injury, which brings us back to haven't talked about the stages being acute or chronic. Now, if you have an injury that's acute because it's sudden, there could be pressure on this particular nerve. Then you have stress, which could trigger it. These are some of the predisposing factors.
Okay, now how we want to understand, because though you have made mention of some of the factors that can lead to the health condition, a child of, or let me say an adult of 20 years, how is it possible for him or her to be affected by this condition?
Okay. I talked about age. Once we are aging, it's natural that the body is wearing and tearing. It's not going to be same like we were before. So look at the activities this young adult is involved in. Lifting techniques. Now a lot of us are in the gym. Probably they're not lifting weights properly. The mere fact of lifting a bucket and not doing it properly, some would tell me, oh, I heard a sound, crack in my back, and then the pain started. Then you have maybe that young adult is a student. They sit for long hours. Maybe they are into a job which requires them to sit for long. Maybe an IT specialist or so. They sit for long hours. So you have lifestyle, you have posture, you have age. Then you have to look at the weight of this young person. All of these things should be taken into consideration.
Does this occur suddenly or does it take time to occur?
It depends on the factor which is causing it. It could be sudden, which is acute. I talked about accidents, which is sudden. You just had an accident and boom, you find yourself in pain and you're rushed to the hospital. Then they do a couple of tests and required to do maybe a scan, MRI scan, CT scan, X-ray to confirm exactly what's causing the pinching on the nerve. For chronic, probably it's been there, building up bit by bit, but maybe you neglected the pain or it comes and goes, it's not so strong, it permits you to go about your daily life and you really do not pay attention to it. Then you have to look at the weight, you have to look at the sitting positions, you have to look at the job, you have to look at a lot of other factors which could have been building up over time.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Where are you calling from and your name?
I'm calling from Yaoundé. My name is Bala Felix.
Thank you. Your question.
Yeah, my question is that can too much sport cause sciatic nerve?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think what you earlier talked about carrying weight.
Yes, I wouldn't put it too much sports per se. How do you go about it?
Okay.
Are you lifting weights properly? Are you flexing your knees to pick up your weights from the ground? The weights you're lifting, is it proportionate to your body mass index? Are you overdoing it? So these are the things you should take into consideration. Do you already have some trauma, and whatever you're doing as exercises, it's applying a lot of pressure? Maybe you have to tone it down.
Talking about the weights, what's the required weight to lift? Let's say for someone who is about weighing about, let's say, 90 kilograms, what is he should not exceed what particular weight?
There is no precise measurement for that. But then you have to look at your health history. If you're going to a gym and you have to subscribe to a package, you have to take into consideration your health history. For instance, someone who had sciatica before shouldn't be lifting same weight per someone who has never had sciatica.
Okay. And now posture, looking at the postures too.
I think we have another call on the line. Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Sangafo Telis.
Thank you. Your question?
Yes, I'm calling from Douala. I just wanted to know if maybe, like the doctor in the field just said, for somebody who maybe like take a profession like that of a teacher, who's maybe there shouting minute after minute, maybe he is found in a class where maybe some of the students there are not really the type of student that obey instructions, that makes him to be shouting minute after minute. Can it enable that maybe in that condition maybe to be a sciatic nerve patient?
Yeah.
And more to that again, and to somebody who is, I don't know how I can put it, maybe like somebody who is doing sport like my one of the colleagues just said, doing sport but not frequently. Does it also lead maybe that type of person to be a victim of that sickness?
All right, thank you. Thank you for your question. You got the question, Doc.
Okay, I'll answer these questions individually. They are interesting questions because they are situations we see day in, day out. When you talk of a teacher, look at the sitting hours. Probably he goes to school in the morning. I don't know how his program is scheduled, but the sitting hours, the number of hours he's sitting, then it depends the class which he's teaching. Maybe there are pupil or elderly students. If he's sitting for long hours, day in, day out, how many days in a week, how many days in a month, and then the year, all of those things, there you have micro trauma, chronic. It's building bit by bit. And at some point, the body can't handle it anymore. Then it screams for help. There you have pain which surfaces. Like Ella said, pain isn't the disease. It's a symptom. It's telling you there is a problem here which needs to be fixed. And there the nerve is communicating to the brain, there is a problem here which needs to be fixed. Until you fix it, the pain will be there, but it might aggravate over time. So you will notice if he stops sitting for too long hours, the pain may subside a little. If he's someone who stands for too long, there is another problem because there is pressure on the spine. Then you have to look at the chair which he uses at work. Is it too hard? Is it an orthopedic chair? Does the spine align properly when he's on the chair? All of these basic stuffs which we might minimize build up over time and then leads to this problem. Also, when you talk about sports.
Yeah, before we go to sport, he made mention of a teacher shouting.
Oh, okay.
Yes, shouting.
Shouting goes to stress. I earlier talked about stress. If you have sciatica pain, the effect of coughing will trigger pain. Why? Because I earlier explained it's an irritated nerve. It's a nerve which is under duress or under pressure. So like, I want to demonstrate this. If you cough, this bulging disc touches, it keeps poking the nerve. So if you cough, imagine, it does this. If you sneeze, it does this. If you sit, standing up, in every little thing, you get a trigger. So definitely, the effect of shouting will trigger it. Once you're stressed, there is pressure on the nerve. It's not normal. You shouldn't be in that state. So it will trigger pain. Then it depends on how severe the sciatica is.
Okay.
And now we want to know, before we go, the cure.
Okay, talking of cure, you could get help from a physical therapist or a physiotherapist they would have to check if the spine is properly aligned. If it's not properly aligned, they will help you realign the spine. You would get decompression. Decompression of the spine means you are relieving the nerves from the pressure which they already have. You could have to work on the lifestyle, look at the sitting positions, stop sitting for too long hours, get the good mattress, get active, do some exercises, at least walking, at least swimming. These little things could help you minimize the predisposing factors to sciatica.
Okay.
How can we prevent the disease, lastly?
Lifestyle, weight loss, exercising, seeing a physiotherapist at least once a month just to realign the spine, decompress the spine, get a good mattress, good shoes, and avoid all that would apply pressure to the spine.
Any other last advice?
She has said it all.
You have said it all.
She has said it all.
Immaculate, the last word.
I really learned a lot from this exchange. And one thing I would like to know, when you talk about good postures, what's the right posture for someone?
Okay, right posture, you should have your feet flat to the ground, your knees straight in the same alignment with your hip, and your back properly on the chair. So you should sit erect and not slouching forward like this.
Good.
Thank you very much, Cynthia FINJAP. She is a physiotherapist. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this program. Thank you very much, Immaculate, for agreeing.
It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, sure. For a presentation, I have been a Lucy Lengu. At the technical dashboard, we had Jonathan Babiola and Bertram Bonzini. Sure, we live in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe Radio and television.
Bye-bye.